Lila Greer, Teacher of the Year. In a big windy city in a small bungalow lived a father, 5 children, 3 cats, and 1 crow. The baby was Lila, a curl on her head, which cast an odd shadow and filled her with dread, as did cabbages, cardboard, bananas, and bark, and each little thing that went bump in the dark. When Lila turned 3, she had such a great thought. She twisted her wild wiggly curl in a knot, and to the relief of all of the Greers, she slept through the night for the first time in years. But the what-ifs still got her. They made her heart race, put knots in her stomach and a frown on her face. What if there are monsters? What if there are bees? What if I get stuck with some clowns eating cheese? In a very small room in a building so high, what if? It made Lila cry. Lila felt calmer in places she knew, with people she loved, and they loved Lila too. Then everything changed when they moved out of town. It flipped Lila's world, her entire world, upside down. Look at that, even the writing is upside down. The what-ifs took over as she started grade 2 in a new town, a new school with a new teacher too. What if I mess up? What if it goes wrong? What if they don't like me? What if we don't get along? The teacher was tall and a little bit stern. "Hello," she said softly. "My name is Miss Kern. It's so good to meet you. I'm so glad you're here. Let's make this a wonderfully wonderful year." But it wasn't for Lila, who did not adjust well to the odd kids, the odd sounds, the random odd smell. And at lunchtime and recess, she felt all alone, so far, far away from her faraway home. Then one day Miss Kern had a favor to ask. "Lila, my dear, would you help with a task? There's so little time and so much to do. I can't clean the chalkboard at recess. Would you?" Lila Greer nodded. There was lots to do. She helped Monday through Thursday. She helped Friday too. She stood on a chair and erased all the chalk. Miss Kern graded papers. Together they talked of things that were old and things that were new, of nothing important and everything too. For the very first time in Blue River Creek, Lila felt better and ready to speak of her worries and what-ifs. It felt very good knowing someone was listening and they understood. Sometimes it seemed that the work would expand and a classmate or two would come lend a hand. A kid with a kitten, a kid with a curl, a zoo-loving boy, a bird-loving girl. Then one day Miss Kern said, "Thank you, my dear. You've been such a help. I'll take it from here," which was fine because somehow the months had flown by and there was a playground for Lila to try. "Just one final thought," Miss Kern said in the hall. "What if some what-ifs are not bad at all? When you start an adventure, who knows where it will end? What if you learn something? What if you find friends?" And so it went for young Lila Greer. Things settled down for the rest of the year. Then came the 3rd and 8th grade and some in between. And before long, young Lila grew into a teen. Sometimes the what-ifs came roaring right back. It was tough, but with help, she got back on track. Time passed as it does, and with each passing grade, old memories were forgotten as new ones were made. She worked hard and studied year after year and was finally ready to start her career right there in Blue River Creek of all places, as teacher for 17 young smiling faces who needed her knowledge, her skill, and her care. She straightened her black skirt and patted her hair. But the what-ifs got to her as she looked at the door and feelings came back from so long, long before. Lila Greer froze in a bad deja vu from her earliest moments of life in grade 2. What if I mess up? What if it goes wrong? What if they don't like me and we don't get along? Of course, she was new and had so much to learn, so she tried to think back to her teacher, Miss Kern, who was something or other and a little bit tall, though what that word was, Lila could not recall. She thought of that classroom so far in the past, which looked much the same from first bit to last. Benches, a chalkboard, some desks and whatnot. One green eraser in that very same spot. Wait, what? That's not right, Lila Greer thought. Then she remembered something she'd long since forgot. And after so many years, she finally asked, how many erasers did we need for that task? And she knew in that moment what her teacher had done. She'd helped her find friends in that class one by one. When she'd been so alone, isolated by fear, too frozen by what-ifs to let anyone near, Miss Kern brought the classroom to her, Lila Greer. It made all the difference to that lonely young girl, with her worries and what-ifs and her wild wiggly curl, who was far, far away from her faraway home. But thanks to Miss Kern, she wasn't alone. Her teacher had done what all great teachers do. She built a new home right there in grade 2. Lila paused as old memories flooded her mind, and she found that one word she wanted to find. Her teacher was fiercely, ferociously, unfathomably kind. And she remembered this stepping in from the hall. What if some what-ifs are not bad at all? When you start an adventure, who knows where it ends? What if you learn something? What if you find friends? She looked at her kids, and the fear left her heart. Like the teacher before her, she knew where to start. Hello, she said softly. I'm Miss Lila Greer. It's so good to meet you. I'm so glad you're here. Let's make this a wonderfully wonderful year.